It felt realistic because it didn't feel fun, I'll tell you that. Welcome back to Xbox Game Passengers. This is the show where each episode, myself and a guest will break down and chat about one game available on Microsoft's Game Pass service, which was chosen for us completely at random. Whether it's a magical or a horrible experience, we'll force ourselves through it, share our thoughts, and let you know whether or not it's worth your time. At the end of the show, we'll randomly pick a game for the next episode too. Last week, my guest Mikaela and I suffered through Disneyland Adventures, and she's back this week.
Hi. I wouldn't say suffered. I would say we played it begrudgingly. Is that the right word?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed some of it, so it's hard to say suffered.
You've definitely talked about it since we recorded that episode.
Yeah. Go on.
Anyways, as much as she wanted to continue playing Disneyland Adventures after we didn't have to play it anymore.
But I haven't because I'm an adult.
At the end of the last episode, we randomly selected the game for this episode, which turned out to be MotoGP 2017, which is a several years old motorcycle racing game. Yeah.
Did it come out in 2016?
No, I think it actually did come out in 2017.
Wow, they do not
by
know
several,
how
I meant two
naming
and
numbers
a half.
work.
Two, no, just two.
I was super stoked about that game.
And how do you feel about it now that you played it?
You'll find out shortly. Can I tell you what it's about first?
Yeah.
I'm going to read it directly from their description of it, so prepare yourselves. Oh, that's actually how it starts. Prepare yourself for the adrenaline of the 2017 MotoGP TM. Enjoy maximum entertainment with all the bikes, teams, and tracks of the official championship. Try the new Managerial Career mode and put yourself in the shoes of a team manager, trying to make the right choices both on and off the track. Play online against the best players or join forces with your most skilled friend. Get on the track and start your race to victory in the new cooperative mode. So that's what we were going into.
It was quite an experience. I just remember last episode complaining about being handheld through Disneyland Adventures to the point where there's literally a golden line that shows you exactly where you need to go to get to your next objective. That was probably one of the easiest games that I played, and then we were thrown into the complete opposite, and I think MotoGP 17 might be one of the hardest games that I've ever played. How was your
goodness.
tell me about how you so there's only a couple of rules to this podcast really, and that's we don't discuss the games at all before we come on the show. So Mikaela's hearing this from me for the first time, and I'm hearing her opinion for the first time as well. How did your races go?
So if anybody listened to our last episode, you'll know that I somewhat enjoyed the hand-holding aspect because I am not a professional at video gaming. And then when we got this one in our randomizing thing, I was kind of stoked about it because I love a good racing game. Mostly Mario Kart, but that's okay.
There's motorbikes in that too now.
Was there not always?
No.
Oh. I mean, I don't really care about motorbikes in particular. Although I would like to try riding one in real life, but I think you need to know how to ride a bike for that. So, we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I was excited about the prospect of this. But then, oh my God, it's so hard. I basically could not play it. It was fucking awful. And initially when we started playing it, or no, because we didn't play it together. You started it first.
Yeah.
And then I came home from work one day or something, and you were it was a day in, and you were like, okay, I'm ready to record whenever you are. And I was like, that is not fair. You have to play so many more hours of this, blah, blah, blah. And then I literally sat down and played for 1 hour and was like, this is awful. How do I get out of this? Can we just record right now? I never want to play this game again. Sorry, I think that was a spoiler. Just so you know, I didn't like it.
And it was so starting the game up for the first time, it was actually kind of cool because there's a lot of content here. The game has, of course, I don't know anything about MotoGP, and so I don't know if this is a lot or not, but there are over 186 riders that you can pick from in the game. 186 riders.
That's a lot. Wait, so is this when you're designing your character?
No, because in like quick races and stuff, I think you just choose riders, and so there's a lot of them. And I mean, it must be pretty like when you're actually on the track in a race, they're just wearing like a suit and a helmet. So I don't know that they actually, aside from maybe the designs of the clothing and the number that they wear or whatnot, like do they really need to design much in terms of the characters?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, you get to design a character. Okay, I'll do that first. And then I went in and you like choose your boots and you choose your helmet and you choose your colors. You don't get to choose the color of your suit, which I didn't understand. But then in the first race I was in, it was a different color than it had been when I was choosing my thing. So I think that changes depending on what race you're in, maybe. But you do get to choose things. And then based on the character that you choose, like you don't get to change their hair or anything, which I didn't like.
You see their hair so much.
Well, it shows us their like graphic card or whatever. Yeah. Like their when you're going into a race, it shows their face. So that didn't really get to be customized. That part was kind of disappointing.
So yeah, like 186 riders, more than 60 bikes. It seemed like there was a lot of tracks as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know though. It's so hard. Like I thinking about it, I think it's a weird choice for Game Pass, I think as well, because I think that it's such a niche. However you want to pronounce it. It's such a like concept. Like it's not like this racing game is for everyone, like a Mario Kart or a Sonic Racing or like a Forza Horizon 4 where it's like real cars and a real environment, or it's just fake environment. I feel like
it's kind of like a Forza Horizon, but I don't know if I thought that because, well, actually the first race I went into, I literally wrote down, oh wow, this is just like Forza because it has the same mechanism where it shows you
it kind of has
where
like
to turn
the
and
best
stuff.
line for you to take. But I mean in terms of like accessibility, like not knowing anything about racing cars, I can jump into Forza Horizon 4 and have fun and compete and everything like that. Whereas this is it's an odd game. I think it's an odd choice for Game Pass because I think if you are a gamer and you're into MotoGP, you're probably playing them as they come out, and MotoGP 19 is out at this point. And if you're not a gamer but into MotoGP and hey, your kid has Game Pass on their Xbox, let's try this game about this thing that I love, you're not even getting through a single track before you quit forever. And if you're a gamer that doesn't know about MotoGP but is like, hey, it might be fun to race motorcycles.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. It's not fun. It is. You are quitting before you get past that first track.
It warms my heart so much that you had the same experience as me. Because I was like, well, he's going to have so much to say and I'm just going to be a negative Nancy who can't keep a fucking bike upright.
And I learned very quickly that I don't know anything about motorcycles or how they work, and that Mario Kart is not realistic at all. But you do need
not.
Like, one of the things that I learned very quickly. So these are very tight corners, and if you do not let go of the gas all the way when you're hitting that brake, the back of the bike slides out from under you. And that's how you fall off. So you have to let go of the gas completely and just brake.
The one time that I sucked the least, I was just tapping the trigger button over and over again whenever I was in a corner, but also hitting what I thought was the brake button. But nothing ever actually told me what any of the buttons did. And it's interesting because when the game was first loading, there was all these screens of writing. And I was like, this writing is too small. I'm not going to sit here for 45 minutes and read this writing. And then I was like, no, you always just hit okay and don't read things. You have to read it. And so I read it, and it had nothing to do with how to play the game or anything. And then I literally searched the game as much as I could and could not find anywhere where it would explain which buttons to hit to do things. You just had to jump into it and hope that you could figure it out. And I made the choice to go into career mode first so that I could design my character, obviously. And then I did my first race and I was like, oh, silly Mikaela, why did you make the choice to go into career mode? You should go into the quick race mode so that you can learn how to do it first. But it was exactly the fucking same. There was no guidance on how to play this game.
And even I feel like we were also playing the easiest version of this game because there are kind of like in Forza, like you mentioned, there are a lot of like rider's aids that you can turn on that just make the game harder or easier depending on which ones you turn on and which ones you turn off. I was quite thankful for this, but like it gets to the point where you're manually selecting gears. You have to manually tuck in like your body when you are going over like or turning into the really heavy turns where you're leaning very hard. You can turn the like line that shows you the best course of action to take. You can turn that on or off. All of them essentially, like the harder you make it for yourself, you earn more reputation as you complete races, which I never really figured out what it did because I never got in a good enough position that I earned any reputation.
Did you get in a position that was not dead last?
Yeah. So my first race. So I started with, I did like one quick race or a couple quick races. First race, there's like 23 racers, I think. And after the first turn, I was dead last and didn't see anybody else the entire time.
Me too. Like literally I was driving by myself and I was like, this is how Derek must feel when we play Mario Kart.
But the opposite because I'm not
the opposite
first.
Because I was at the back. Yeah.
The next race I played, I came in 25th. And I just think that the guy behind me must have been truly terrible because half of the race I was on the grass and not on the track at all. And then on the third race, I learned, I think, the two most important parts about how motorcycle racing works. And that's that you're supposed to crash into people when they're close to you so that they fall, and they fall way behind because of that. And you're also encouraged to cut across the corners to make your route shorter than other racers. So I think the third race I actually came in like 15th. And it's because like every single corner I could take, I would go into it too fast and just hit people. So they fell off. Somehow I wouldn't fall off. And then any opportunity that I had as well, I would just cut directly across a corner and wasn't penalized at all for that. Like it just seemed like the track didn't actually like in Forza, for instance, there are flags that you have to get through the center of. And if you go outside of that, you basically fail until you go back because you can kind of rewind.
Right.
And you have to go back and get through those flags. But this didn't have anything like that. It just seemed like I could just cut huge portions of not huge portions, but portions of the track. I could just drive, cut the corner, drive across the grass, and it didn't seem to penalize me at all for doing so.
So did you ever drive on what I assume was gravel, the like white stuff on the side of the track?
Oh, yeah.
For any amount of time? Because if you drove on that for any amount of time, it like bucked you off. You like had
I never got that.
Every single time I hit it, I crashed. So I think you could only be on it for a certain amount of time.
No, I feel like I was
at
on
a certain speed or something.
I feel like I would. I don't know that I really fell off.
Like I would be driving straight, not changing anything, and nothing would be changing. And I'd be like, "Sweet, at least I'm driving straight." And then it would be like, "Oh, you crashed now."
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. It did seem like it seemed very realistic.
We can't say that. We don't know anything about motorbikes.
Well, I just mean in terms of, like it felt realistic because it didn't feel fucking fun. I'll tell you that.
Are motorbikes not fun? I thought they were fun. They seem fun in real life.
Well, I mean, like in terms of a game, it was not fun. So is it not fun because they are trying to be so realistic and you don't know what's happening? But I mean, there's also like just the amount of things that you did have control of. Like you could customize so much stuff. And even on like the heads up display while you're racing, it shows like the temperature of your tires, which matter, and a number of other things that it had information there for.
I think this is a game that is made for people who actually ride and do motorcycle.
It felt like a simulation.
Things.
Like it felt, yeah.
Because when I was trying so hard to go through the menu systems to find where the fuck you make it easier. And the only thing that I could find was you went into this, like when you were in the garage with your like maintenance buddy about to start a race, there was some menu options.
Yeah. I didn't know what any of it meant though.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. I went in and it was like, what's the issue you're having? And then I chose like,
I don't know how to play.
No. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't remember the wording now, but it was like, I'm bailing on the corners. Like every corner I go into, I'm taking the corners too fast or something about corners. And then so I chose that, and then it had a drop down menu for the next thing. And it was like, are you falling when you go into the corner or when you come out of the corner? And I was like, oh, when I go into the corner. And then it goes down to the next thing. And it's like, okay, go in and change this particular, like not a setting in the game. It was like, you want to lower your bike this much and put the tire at this angle, blah, blah, blah. And it was like telling me how to do motorcycle maintenance to make my bike work more with my riding style. And then it had the option to just like auto fix that for you. And I was like, yes, because I don't understand half of these words. But like, that is very specific to people needing to understand like what it is that you're doing. And that is not something that I have, nor did I see anywhere in the game where I could learn those things.
Yeah.
Because I could understand if that was how you, like how the mechanics worked, if it slowly showed you how to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
But it didn't.
That's true.
It didn't. It
No, there was no guidance. There was no
Yeah.
guidance over. And I don't know why I keep going back to Forza, because the game itself didn't really feel anything like it. But
it's because those lines tricked you into thinking it was Forza.
Like the Forza Horizon games have that very much as well, where you can go, like you can just change the way the car looks, but you can also go in and adjust every single thing, like brakes and like how tight the suspension is and what type of tires you're using, and so many more parts. And but it's also kind of similar in that like you don't have to touch any of it and your car is totally fine. But if you want to tune it into a specific way, you can. But it also doesn't seem to have much in terms of learning that. It's just you either know it and you understand it and you can go and make those adjustments, or you go into the menu once and are overwhelmed and you leave and you never go back into it.
But I feel like with Forza, like it's easy enough to tailor it settings wise for the game, like for the controller or whatever, that you could learn how to be good at racing in that game.
Yeah.
And then as you get more invested in being good at racing, because you're already good at it and you're building your career and blah, 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 like as you go along, you're probably going to look things up and you're going to become more familiar with things and you'll become part of a community of people who are also playing it and da-da-da. Like I feel like this cuts you off at the pass, so you don't even get the chance to get invested because you just want to escape it because it's so hard.
Yeah. You mentioned something about like angle of something earlier, like when you were turning.
Yeah.
One of the things that I felt like was super annoying as well is that I just feel like there was no subtle angle. Like if you're
it was full turn or no turn.
No, like it wasn't that harsh, but
maybe for you.
I mean, like you're hyperbolizing a bit, but it felt like if you're on a straight stretch and if I want to just adjust slightly because just a better position or get on the blue line, it just felt like it was way too, like if I just tap the stick just slightly, it was way too big of an adjustment. Like there wasn't, it's like there's a huge dead zone before it like actually activates or something like that.
It's like you're playing with one of those old N64 controllers where you just gotta like knock the whole thing over to the side.
And that's why we don't play with those your N64 controllers, is because that.
Well, maybe we should, because maybe it's more modern and realistic.
Speaking of modern, the game did not look very modern. It looked pretty dated.
I honestly did not even pay attention to that part because I was like, fuck you, I hate you the whole time.
I feel like the biggest things are a lot of the textures, like the road and stuff itself look pretty muddy at times.
Totally. Like I can't even tell you if the stuff on the side of the road was gravel or not. It was just white.
And at times as well, it looked like it kind of seemed like the bikes and stuff looked okay, but it didn't seem like they were like legitimately on the road. Like at points, it kind of looked they were just like they were hovering above it slightly, and that definitely took me out of it. Also, I sucked at the game, and that took me out of it more. But one thing I did think was really cool is that like, and then it kind of quickly faded. But the presentation at the start, I thought was really neat. Where when you load into a level, it kind of like almost presents it like a race you're watching on television. Like you see kind of cuts of the city and stuff that you're in, and there's kind of music
I like
and
that.
stuff. And then like it seems like there's going to be commentary. Like there's commentators that are talking about this race beginning and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, they're actually going to like, I don't think I've experienced a racing game that has commentary while you're racing about what is actually occurring. And I thought that was going to happen. And then as soon as the race starts, it's silent. Like, is there even music? I feel like there was not even music. Yeah.
I wonder if the commentary continues on when you're like going into your next race in the career mode. Like, I wonder if it's between races kind of, because I don't see how they could have commentary for something that's happening organically. Although they do with WWE
games. Yeah. But it's sometimes it's terrible. It's like, this superstar is really giving it his all.
Well, but I mean, they could be like, oh, she crashed again every time it crashes, right? Like,
that'd get old fast.
It would. I
Yeah.
would not want to listen to that. But I could see it saying so. I won't ever know because I never got past one race. Like every single time it said race over before I hit the finish line.
What?
Yeah.
That can happen?
Yeah.
How bad were you?
Really bad.
Like, I thought I was really
Oh,
bad.
no, I was really bad. I even went in and I like somehow figured out how to make the AI dumber so that they sucked more. And then when I did that, and when I learned to just tap the accelerator button, and when I rewinded every single time I crashed,
Oh, I went-
almost
yeah.
came in last instead of after the race was already over.
So you almost did you finish any race?
I mean, I always finished 3 laps, but it always said race over before I got through my 3 laps.
I don't think I ever saw it. But then it keeps letting you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So is there like a maximum time and you were over that or something?
I don't know. How do you make that choice? Like, is it just that there's nobody left to race because they already
They
passed
went
the
home?
finish line? Like, I don't know.
Uh,
But it was really frustrating because I swear, I mean, maybe I'm hyperbolizing, but probably not by much. It probably took me an hour to play one race.
You're kidding.
Because the last one I did, the last session, I was like, I don't want to suck so much at this. But then in order to not be totally dead last and racing totally by myself, right from the get-go, every time I crashed, I would just rewind before that crash. And I was trying to learn how to be better. But I also wanted to like feel like I was racing and still having people around me. So every time I crashed, I would like rewind. And so with all the rewinding, it took so long to get through one race. And by like the 3rd lap, I was like, yeah, my God, I'm just going to drive by myself.
I'm just
going to
play Disneyland Adventures instead.
I literally makes me wish for Disneyland Adventure because at least I could succeed there was one of the things I wrote down.
Did you play with the photo mode at all?
No.
It's
No.
I don't know why you would because the game's not very pretty. A couple of times during a crash, I would pause it and go into the photo mode to see if I could come up with like a cool shot or a cool angle or something like that. But the game looks so dated that it just looks weird because I feel like the presentation is best when it's at the angle that it's meant to be at. And when as soon as you go outside of that, it's like, oh, what? The bike legitimately is floating off the ground. And like it seemed like there's this kind of weird tether where like you can only kind of move the camera a certain distance away from the person, but then if the bike isn't in that same way, it just like looks weird. So that wasn't very fun either.
But how did the puddles look?
I didn't see any puddles.
Oh, that was a Spider-Man reference. Yeah.
It has split screen, which we didn't play because
before we started playing, I was so excited to do the co-op version because I like, when you get to be competitive against each other in person. And then as soon as I started playing, I was like, no, especially because we can't tell each other about it.
Yeah,
and there's no way you would have not known how much I hated this game as soon as we started playing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Is it bad that we just hate it because we ain't it? Like,
no, I mean, I feel like we're talking about the Game Pass.
It's supposed to be fun.
Well, and we're talking about Game Pass as a service, and we're trying to find potentially hidden gems, and this is not one of them. Yeah.
I mean, I still love Game Pass.
You got to go through the rough before you find the diamonds, and
this was
pretty rough. Do you have anything else to say about this game?
It made me feel like a spoil sport because I'm whiny and I don't like it because I'm bad at it. Let's go back to playing Disneyland Adventures.
You said that already.
Yeah, but like right now, let's never play this game again.
Okay.
What's our rating system?
I mean, would you recommend it, or is it a must play or a skip? I feel like, is this piece even necessary?
Oh, no, this piece is...
Yeah.
We got to have something where we're like, okay, bang, 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 these are our choices. And I just can't remember it right now. Isn't there 3?
Well, it's like play or skip, or it's a must play.
Oh, okay. I would say skip. 100%. I mean, skip it.
I would say play it if
and
you
then
want.
Never play it again.
If you want to rip your hair out of your head, frustration. If you want a new TV, this is like you could throw your controller at the TV because you're so mad, and then you get to buy a new TV.
Please don't do that.
I'm gonna go play right now.
Please no.
But other than that, I would there's so many good games on Game Pass, and this is if you love I just feel like if you love MotoGP and you're listening to a podcast like this or playing video games at all, you probably played this game 2 years ago.
Or maybe you don't play video games that often and you are riding a motorbike right now while listening to this podcast, and this is the fucking game for you. You are the niche in that market that they are looking for. Go play it.
Wow, you really I'm gonna start playing.
Well, no, you have to get a motorbike and get really good at motorbikes, and then you can play it.
I feel like a motorbike would be cool.
It would, but also scary.
I drive like a tiny car with no safety features.
I know, I am not allowed to drive it because you're scared that I'll die, so.
Fair.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a motorbike. You can keep driving the tiny car and I'll get a motorbike.
Okay. Let's move. Should we move on from this
I think
game?
we can move on.
So.
Oh God, please. I'm hoping. I'm hoping
what?
for something that is not sucky to play. Something that I can physically play.
Selecting a game. It's always totally random. I essentially put every single game that's available on Game Pass into a randomizer app. We just kind of shake the phone and the app spits out a new game to play. And that's the game we'll be playing for the next episode. Do you want to do the honors again?
Heck yes.
Yeah, here you go.
Ooh. What Remains of Edith Finch?
So that's actually really interesting. So What Remains of Edith Finch, I've actually played before, so have you.
I have.
It came out a couple of years ago. I think it was a PS4 exclusive to start, but came out on Xbox One just last year and is like one of the newest Game Pass editions, actually. I think it just came out on Game Pass kind of a few days ago even. It's like would be considered like a walking simulator. So I think it's actually a pretty perfect fit for something like Game Pass because it's only a few hours long. It's an experience that I think a lot of people would look over, but we'll talk about it next week. That's it. I don't think we have much else to say. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Xbox Game Passengers. I hope you enjoyed the show more than we enjoyed MotoGP 2017. If you do like what you've heard, obviously we're just getting started. Obviously we're still figuring out formula. But if you like what you heard, it would mean a lot to us if you hit subscribe in whatever podcast app you're using to listen to the show. You can also leave us a review on iTunes and share the show with your friends if you think we're worth it. All of that would mean a lot. iTunes reviews help a lot in terms of just getting us out there. And if there's something that you don't like or something that you'd like more of, I'd love to hear any feedback. You can reach me at derek@geekscape.net. And I'm also at @dcranevelt on Twitter if you don't like to email people. But yeah, with that, I think we should close this out.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. And join us next time for What Remains of Edith Finch. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.